Hi everyone, I'm Dale Smith, aka Journo Dale, and we're here to talk about Canadian politics. It's another week with our friend TJ, the American studying for her Canadian citizenship exam, and she has more questions for us. TJ?
Thanks, Dale. So, the last couple of days, I have, like many other millions of people from south of the border, been watching the Democrat Party's debates on television. And it's got me thinking that I've not heard much about any upcoming scheduled debates, and as for an American, the little campaigning season you can have here is very short. I was wondering, are those going to happen? Are there debates? I mean, I know there's no primary concept here, so.
All right, there will be debates. We just don't know when they are yet. What happened was, during the previous election, Stephen Harper decided he didn't want to play part in the big, what we call the consortium debates. And so then a bunch of different outlets scrambled to put on their own debates, and some of which he accepted and some of which he didn't. And so it became kind of a mess. And this government decided we don't want to do that again. So they created a new sort of electoral debates commission, got the former Governor General to head it, and they are in the process of determining how they're going to do debates for this upcoming election. The other thing you may not really understand is what the consortium debate means. What that generally means is that it's all the major broadcasters would get together and come up with an agreement about when they wanted to have this debate, and then they would all broadcast it at the same time without commercials. This is kind of an important thing because it was intended to reach as many people as possible, and not having that kind of same structure in place is kind of what led to some of the confusion the last time, and a lot of varying numbers as to the uptake of what debates we saw. We saw debates that had commercials. We saw debates that, were kind of live events, some that weren't, so it was kind of all over the place.
That's very interesting because as far as ads go during debates in the States, they're pretty much like political Super Bowl commercial slots. You see a lot of money, PAC money, being thrown around. Yeah, that's fascinating, and it's actually quite a noble endeavor in terms of access for the people to make their decisions based on the most knowledge possible. When it comes to, speaking of knowledge, do we know when the actual election is? Because I just realized while we're talking about debate dates that I actually don't know. I know we're on a fixed election thing here now, but...
So yes, we do have an election date. It's October 21st. Because we are on this ridiculous fixed election date in this country, which is not typically how we do things, but we've started this creeping Americanization in terms of creating a 4-year election cycle in Canada. So there is a date that's set. The only real question that is happening is whether or not the government will drop the writs early. And what that means, and drop the writ is actually a bad colloquialism because normally they're actually drawn up, we don't drop them. And that means is that's when the actual writs are written up that says, yes, this is an election. There's one for each riding across the country, and that's what lets the Commissioner of Elections and the Chief Electoral Officer know that is now the official election period. Why this matters is because normally we have about a 6 or 7 week writ period, which means that is when the actual election is happening. That's when all the spending rules kick in and so on. The previous election, the Prime Minister made it an extra long writ period because of the fixed election date. We suddenly saw an explosion in third-party advertising, and some of it was pro-conservative, some of it was or I guess it would be more typical to say anti-Harper, because it wasn't necessarily NDP or Liberals that were behind those. And so as a way of controlling that, he extended the writ period for just about 3 months. What this government ended up doing was creating rules for a pre-writ period. So that means that for the 2 or 3 months before the actual writ period starts, there are other spending rules that happen and reporting rules, so that there's a little more structure and a little more means of controlling some of this third-party spending and advertising. It's not perfect, because then they just kind of extend earlier than the pre-writ period, which is another reason why fixed election dates are garbage and have no real place in the Canadian system. But this is what we have to adapt to, because people have become enamored with this 4-year election cycle that the Americans have.
That's really interesting. And it's interesting how, as the system is sort of evolving, reluctantly or defiantly, it has to sort of reverse engineer the accountability periods. And it's a very interesting challenge. And on the topic of creeping Americanisms, my last kind of random question for this week is there actually a Green New Deal that Canada has on its own? Or I'm hearing a lot of this being thrown around. I'm not sure if it's like Bernie's and people are like quoting him, or if the Canadians have a separate thing. So I just love to get some clarification on the Green New Deal of Canada.
There is no Green New Deal of Canada. This is one of those things that the NDP in particular thought was a great idea, because all of the 20-somethings on social media are enamored with either Bernie Sanders or Alexandria or Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, anyway. They're enamored with her, and anything she says, they think, hey, we should do that too. So they've adopted this whole Green New Deal thing, or Jagmeet Singh put out his party platform a couple weeks ago and called it the New Deal for People, or NDP for short, which was overly cute and a little bit ridiculous. But essentially, the New Deal has no real resonance in Canada because that's an Americanism. That was, what was it, 1930s?
Yeah, it was the Great Depression regulations, essentially.
Right. And that isn't a Canadian thing. So for NDP to try and import that language into Canada is just this kind of like Me Too-ism of, all the cool kids are doing it, so we should do it too. And I think it's a bit contrived and not really terribly Canadian, but that's unfortunately what they think is going to drive votes for them.
I do see some potential for deep confusion as well. We're joking about the wordplay of the NDP New Deal for People and the Green New Deal and all that, but it's something I'm going to be wanting to keep an eye on and get your opinion on in the coming months, because I do see it being very difficult to disseminate information accurately about the actual election procedure. What are you voting for? You're voting for a party. Who has voted for a leader? Is that, it's...
Well, yeah, you are actually voting for the local representative in your riding. Yes, they have the party name next to the ballot, and we could go into a whole history about that on a future episode.
Excellent.
But yeah, you are voting for the person, not the party and not the leader. And you don't vote for the leader separately. That's all part of how the system works. You're voting for the individual who then, when they get to Parliament, kind of forms the government that way. We have some shorthand around that, but yeah, that's basically how it happens.
Okay, so I think that's a very interesting thing for us to watch, is the American creep northwards, both in language and procedure. Yeah, get ready for a summer of an extra curious American leading up to the election season.
Looking forward to it.
Thanks.
And that's everything for this week. Join us again next week for some more Canadian politics. I'm Dale Smith, aka Journo Dale. That's at Journo_Dale on Twitter. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and support us on Patreon. Thanks, everyone. All right, we do have an election date. It's October 21st, and let me double check that.